My new classmate was the man I watched get his jaw shot off. The man I watched get his jaw shot off ended up in my sociology class 3 years later. I don't know why that's the part that sticks with me. Not the bar, not the car door opening, not the hand that reached for my cousin. It's the quiet, air-conditioned classroom and the sight of him, scarred and alive, sitting 3 rows ahead of me. But I guess to understand that, you have to start at the beginning. I was 23, and my friends and I had this stupid, beautiful dream. We were going to open a little shop, a curated space for local art and vintage clothes, right in the heart of a neighborhood everyone else was afraid of. My boyfriend Teo, our best friends Jian, and his girlfriend Anya, we saw the potential. Yeah, it was a high crime area, but there was a current underneath all that. New restaurants with Edison bulbs were popping up. A craft brewery was renovating an old warehouse. We were going to be part of the change. We signed a lease on a 2-story brick building, our little shop on the ground floor, my apartment right above it. We were so fucking optimistic it hurt. But before we moved in, there was the matter of the bar. It was directly across the street, a squat building with blacked out windows that seemed to absorb all the sunlight on the block. My cousin Maeve and I had heard stories. So, on a bright Tuesday morning around 11, we decided to do some recon. Just 2 girls having a beer, checking out the future neighbors. The moment we pushed open the heavy door, the sunlight died. The place smelled like stale beer and pine sol. A woman with a tired face was wiping down the sticky bar. She looked up, saw our clean jackets and nervous smiles, and her expression wasn't welcoming. It was concerned. "I don't even work here," she said, her voice a low rasp. "I live upstairs. The regular guy just didn't show up." That should have been our cue to leave. Red flag number 1. But we were 23 and playing at being brave. We ordered 2 beers, slid a 5 onto the wet counter for the non-bartender, and tried to look like we belonged. We didn't. 5 minutes later, they materialized behind us. 2 of them. One short and wiry, the other with a face full of bad tattoos. They didn't stand beside us, they stood on us, boxing us in against the bar. The air grew thick with the smell of unwashed clothes and cheap cigarettes. The wiry one leaned in. "Hey, let me get a few bucks." He didn't wait for an answer. He dropped a grimy flip phone onto the bar. "Hold this for me. Collateral." Before I could protest, he was gone, melting back into the gloom. Maeve shot me a look. Her knuckles were white where she gripped her beer bottle. We sat there, hostages to a Nokia that probably didn't even work. 20 minutes crawled by. He came back, sliding up next to me so close I could feel the heat coming off him. He held out a sweaty palm. Nestled in his lifeline was a small, crumpled baggie of white powder. He smiled, and his teeth were yellow. "I can show you a whole new life." My blood went cold. That's cool," I stammered. We were just about to use the restroom. I grabbed Maeve's hand and pulled her toward the back. In the tiny, foul-smelling bathroom, we pressed our ears to the door, whispering a frantic plan. We'd walk out, give the non-bartender a nod that meant we're not okay, and then make a break for Maeve's car parked in the alley behind the building. We walked out, trying to project a casual confidence we didn't feel. The men watched us. I saw their eyes track our every move. We passed the bar, and I risked a look at the woman. Her face was a mask of pity. Then we pushed through the front door, back into the blinding sun. And that's when I saw the third man. He was standing at the mouth of the alley. Impossibly tall, with glasses so thick they distorted his eyes into huge blank orbs. He was just watching us. A beat-up sedan was idling at the curb, its back door hanging open like a waiting mouth. One of the men from the bar was already there, leaning against it. They tried to grab Maeve. She's smaller than me, and the tattooed one lunged for her arm. I don't remember thinking. I just reacted. I yanked her forward, and we ran. We fucking flew. The sound of our feet slapping on the pavement, our panicked breaths, the shout from behind us. We crashed into her car, fumbling with the keys, the lock clicking shut just as a hand slapped against the window. We both just started screaming. Sobbing, really. Huge, ugly, terrified sobs. And the whole time, all I could think was, the lease is signed. I have to live here. A month later, we moved in. The tall man with the bottle cap glasses became a fixture. He was always there, pacing the block, a silent, unnerving sentinel. I saw him make exchanges, watched him talk to girls who looked far too young and lost. He was a ghost that haunted our new beginning. Then came the beautiful evening, about a week in. The five of us were outside, letting our dogs run in the small patch of grass next to our building. The air was warm. The sky was that perfect Midwest purple-orange, and for the first time, I felt the optimism returning. We were laughing, talking about what color to paint the front of the shop. Then came the sound. It wasn't a car backfiring, it was a crack. Sharp, final, and way too close. Everything fractured. People on the street screamed and scattered like birds. It all went into slow motion. My eyes found the building across the street, the one kitty corner to the bar. I saw people diving behind cars, scrambling for cover. And I saw him, the man with the bottle cap glasses. He was stumbling out from behind the building. His glasses were askew. His hand was clamped over the lower half of his face, but it wasn't enough. Blood, dark and thick, gushed between his fingers down his arm, blooming a terrible flower on his shirt. He was running, but it was a clumsy, broken gait. He collapsed behind a dumpster, out of my line of sight. The next day, I walked the block. I saw the trail of blood, a series of rust-colored splashes on the sidewalk, leading right to where he fell. I stood there, staring at it, and the last of my naive dreams about this neighborhood bled out onto the concrete with it. 3 years passed. The shop did okay. We built a life there. I learned to live with the sirens and the tension. I learned which streets to avoid after dark. I eventually went back to school to finish my degree, and I signed up for a course called Sociology of Urban Poverty. I wanted to understand the place I lived. I wanted to help. It was a small class, maybe 15 people. I got there early on the first day and picked a seat near the back. I watched the other students trickle in, just another face in the crowd. And then he walked in. He was just as tall. The bottle cap glasses were the same. But his face, where his jaw and chin should have been, there was a landscape of scarred, puckered tissue. A jagged line ran from his ear down to his throat. My breath caught in my chest. It was him. I went rigid. My heart hammered against my ribs. I wanted to slide under the desk. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. He won't recognize you. It's been 3 years. Your hair is different. You're different. He chose a seat a few rows in front of me, oblivious. I spent the next hour in a cold sweat, unable to hear a word the professor said. Near the end of the class, the professor asked us to go around and say why we chose to take this specific course. My turn came and went in a blur of mumbled words. Then it was his turn. He cleared his throat. His voice was a low, rough thing, permanently damaged. My name is Darius, he started. He explained that he grew up not far from here, that he got involved in things he shouldn't have. He said he was part of the problem for a long time. Then one night, he said, his hand unconsciously drifting toward the scar on his jaw, I got shot. I almost died. I went to prison. And sitting in that cell, I realized I didn't want to just be another stain on the pavement. I wanted to help. The class murmured in support. A few people clapped softly. I just sat there, frozen. This was the man who had stood in the alley while his friend tried to pull my cousin into a car. This was the man I watched bleed out on the sidewalk. And here he was, trying to build a new life out of the wreckage of his old one. I never said a word to him. For the entire semester, we sat in the same room, and I never told him I was there. It felt like opening a wound that had just barely scarred over, for both of us. His story was his own, and I was just a ghost from a part of it. He was trying to leave behind. It's a small world, even in a big city. Darius, if by some impossible chance you ever read this, I hope you're still doing well, but I hope we never meet again. And to the other men from that bar, the ones who wanted to show us a new life, let's not meet, ever.